Okay, so my name is Melanie Kenneman, and what brought me to a functional doctor and Dr. Oob, the amazing Dr. Oob, is I actually went to him when he was not doing functional medicine. And I think I'm one of his first patients, actually, when he broke off on his own. And so I had been having some health issues. I'm an overachiever. I ran movie sets for years, and then I got into real estate and was super active for multiple decades. And at one point I just couldn't anymore. I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel like myself. And I had gone to went to ER 2 times. What's going on with me? Could never really figure out what was wrong. It wasn't anything like debilitating, but it was debilitating. You couldn't tell from the outside that something was wrong. I looked like I was me, but on the inside I was just exhausted and just something was off. And so I went to see a regular doctor, and the regular doctor, traditional doctor I should say, he was asking me all these questions about my lifestyle and things like that, and his solution for me was, well, why don't you just quit your job and take an antidepressant? And I was so insulted by that diagnosis. I'm like, first of all, you don't know who you're talking to. I'm somebody who is really, I try to do things, I intend to live a natural life, and I know that would just be I'm not pro drugs at all unless they're absolutely necessary, right? And I believe in nutrition and just your lifestyle and things like that. I do a lot of life coaching with people. And so I was like, well, I just felt so misunderstood that I'm never going to find out this reason why I don't feel the way I should be feeling. And so then I had one of my colleagues, thank goodness, our broker actually, Jean Grubb, she said, I think you should go meet my doctor. And at the time, he was with another practice in Austin. She said, why don't you go see Dr. Oob? I think you'll really like him. I mentioned him to you, and I had all different kind of symptoms going on that I couldn't piece them together why they would be happening. And so I went and saw Dr. Oob, and he was able to, in that first visit, get to the source of what was going on. And I felt like somebody finally understands me, right? I was like, here's this woman who'd been looking for bad. I guess that had happened in December the year before, and then in summer I had gone to that other doctor, and this was October. And I was like, oh, yay, somebody understands. He said, I think it's 3 things, and he just nailed them off. And then when I came back to do the follow-up, he had a solution for me. He said, well, it's actually something called adrenal fatigue. It's often, totally misdiagnosed and under found by doctors, our regular medical doctors, but it's really, your body is having a hard time dealing with all of this, go that you're doing. And I was so surprised he wasn't trying to prescribe me some drug. He was giving me these supplements, adrenal supplements, and change your diet, cut out caffeine, all of these things that I could do naturally, getting good sleep, all this stuff to reset my body. And so I was like, well, I absolutely love this approach, right? This is something that I can do and hopefully share with others, because anything that I do, I always want to share with our agents and things like that. So I come back as I'm checking out from that meeting, I'm like, yes, somebody understands me. And I'm going to do my follow-up, set an appointment with them. The lady at the receptionist says, well, Dr. Oob won't be here anymore. Who would you like to see? And I'm like, whoa. What do you mean Dr. Oob won't be here anymore? Finally, I found a doctor that I feel understands me and is in the same alignment with, just making better health choices, and that is looking at the real picture instead of just trying to put a Band-Aid over something. So luckily, Dr. Oob and I had a conversation about where we live, and we're actually neighbors. And so I tracked him down on Facebook. I private messaged him, like, Dr. Oob, it's not nice you didn't tell me, because he couldn't tell me that he was leaving, right? And so I said, where are you going to be? I'll follow you wherever you go. And he had a non-compete, so he couldn't be in Austin for a year. And I'm like, I don't care, I'll drive an hour if I have to come see you, but I want you to be my doctor, because I'm going to get better with your help, and I need your guidance and your coaching to get me through this. And so he said, well, actually, I'm going to be in Dripping Springs, which is outside the Austin city limits, and so if you'll drive out there. I said, absolutely. I want to be, when can I get my first appointment? So it was finding somebody that I felt understood the big picture, and that it's not an easy fix. It's a lifestyle change. There's so much more that goes into health than just prescribing a pill. Right? It has to do with how you dealing with stress. What are you eating? What are you surrounding yourself with? And so then when Dr. Ube opened his functional medicine practice, and then now he's back in Austin, 5 minutes from my office, and he's expanded and has all different kinds, as a nutritionist. He has everything you need to work on like the real core being of what's going on. And preventative, like if I don't deal with this issue in 10 or 20 years, it could be a really big problem for me, so why wouldn't I be preventative? And everything we're doing is natural through food and lifestyle. So why wouldn't anybody want to be part of that? So I've actually shared his information to tons of people because I didn't even know functional medicine existed. And I lived in Germany for 9 years, and Germans are pretty proactive on health and things like that. And so I'm so grateful that I have found a functional doctor that, I mean, our meetings that we have, I coach a lot of people and work with a lot of people at a high level. When you have one piece in your life, you can't just like put it in that corner and think it's not going to affect everything else. And that's how health is also. So like in your business, if you're having a great business but a terrible home life, are you really successful? Are you really happy? The answer is no. It's the same thing with your health. If there's something going on that you don't know what's going on and you can't fix it, you're not really having a quality of life because you don't feel good. And a lot of times like adrenal fatigue and things like that, the world has no idea that you don't feel well. But inside, you're just pulling all your energy together to just get out of bed and be able to pull up that energy for people that you want to deliver every day. And so by getting to the core of what's really going on and helping people change their whole life, I mean, I don't know if there's anything cooler that you can do than really help people get back on track. And the journey is never done. You're always looking to improve yourself in a healthy way and not just I can't think, when I hear about people that have all of these different medications and that aren't doing anything about their lifestyle, it just makes me sad for them, right? Because I think, gosh, you only have one journey, and it's your journey, and your job is to make it the most incredible journey that you can. And health, so Gary Keller is the founder of Keller Williams. I've been with Keller Williams for 11 years, so a long time. It's been my life for 11 years. And he's a great leader. He lives here in Austin, and he would always say, there's all these key things you need to focus on. And when he would talk about stress management, that was the one thing that I get time blocking. I get time, like managing your time. But what do you mean by managing your stress? I can manage my stress. Look what I've done. I ran movie sets in Germany. I have kids. I've raised them because my husband's traveling all over the world. I run a big office. What do you mean stress management? I got this. Until that happened. And I was like, oh, that's what he's talking about. I'm not meditating, I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating right. I'm treating my body like it's going to just function like a 20-year-old forever. And when you get 40 and beyond, a lot changes, right? And so I love the fact that functional medicine, to me, is kind of like how I coach the whole person, right? You can't do one thing and not have it affect another. And so the meeting I just had with Dr. Ube this morning was all about putting a plan together, how to be preventative, and it has to do with all things that are very natural for you, right? How do you get toxins out of your body? We don't even know what's in our food. That's the crazy thing, right? Is I eat these healthy lunches every day that are healthy for me, and they come in a plastic container that I put in the microwave. Okay, what part of that? Okay, we're missing the part about the plastic container, right? And so he was showing me this test that he did. I'm like, oh, why don't we just put it on a plate if we have to warm it up or whatever? So there's always something we can be doing to be more aware of what are we putting in our body, what are we allowing to come into our health and our future. And a lot of that's your mental well-being as well. And so things like meditation and exercising can make the health process so much easier too. So that, in a long story short, that's how I found Dr. Ube, and I'm like his biggest raving fan probably. And I'm so thrilled. By the way, Gary Keller owns this building, and I was so happy when he was renting here. And I'm like, Gary, you just got one of my most important people in the city to me. And he's just like smiley face back, because it's all about, you got to manage your stress, you got to eat right, you got to take care of yourself. And there's so many diseases out there that we don't even understand. They're so preventative if you took care of yourself. And I think functional medicine does such a great job in looking at the whole picture and not just one little sliver.
Yeah.
So I've been working with Dr. Ub for a little over a year and a half now. And actually in fall, I got really sick. And I had just started feeling better from the adrenal fatigue. And then I got double whammy. I got mono and hep A at the same time. So I was out for 6 weeks. And so had I not had Dr. Ub like get me through that, I don't know what I would have done, because it was scary, right? I mean, as a 40-something-year-old getting mono that you never had, you hear about that in college or whatever, and it just shuts you down. And right after you've had adrenal fatigue, I mean, your body is just like done, right? And it really affects your organs. So had I not had him, I don't know how I would have gotten through that. And so still to this day, like that was 9 months ago that I first was diagnosed with that. And really, it's still to this day, I'm still working towards being 100% over that. But what that did for me, all of this health stuff in working with Dr. Ub, is I'm so conscious now of how important it is to take care of yourself, right? I mean, isn't that what it's about? Like, you have this body. If you don't take care of it, where are you going to live later on, right? That's like, we sell houses. We sell lots of houses. Our office sold 8,000 houses last year. And it's like, okay, but everybody, if you're not taking care of your house where you live in, where are you going to go in 10 or 20 years or in 5 years if you don't take care of yourself? And I think that's the big question in our society, is just we need to eat better. We need to take better care. We need better doctors that take care, that look at the whole picture of when someone's not feeling well.
Awesome. That's a great analogy. What did you do to take care of yourself? What were some of the protocols that he thought would be good for you?
For when I was getting through that, or just in general?
At first, because you had the adrenal fatigue.
Yeah, the adrenal fatigue, yeah. So the biggest thing with adrenal fatigue, and I think a lot of people have this and don't even realize it, because we are all overachievers, right? We're all like this. Well, we're not all, but a lot of us are. I mean, we do have those few that are like, come on, let's go. But when you live in that, we live in an overstimulated societies, meaning like, we have Facebook all the time, social media, text, like we're like this all the time. And what affects your adrenals is this fight or flight, like you're always on the go. I'm ready to fight the fight. I'm ready to fight the battle. And when you really live like that all the time and you kind of burn yourself out, you have to find a way to reset them. So what really helped me with Dr. Ub is I just started reading a bunch of books that he recommended, and literally I cut out caffeine overnight. Because caffeine, even though, and that's what everybody, like, we live off that, like, oh, that 3 o'clock kick, right, to get me through the day. The problem with that is when you have adrenal fatigue, if you know what that's what you have, you'll have this, ooh, there it went, and then, boy, you crash, and then you feel terrible. And if you don't know that, then you're just getting worse and worse and worse. And so I'm not saying everybody that's tired has adrenal fatigue, but there's a way to measure that. And so I'm so grateful. I knew that that's what it was, and I knew that caffeine was one of the worst things for adrenal fatigue. So I cut out coffee immediately. I also, here's the perfect storm. Get up in the morning, cup of coffee. At 11 o'clock, another cup of coffee. 3 o'clock, another cup of coffee. Come home, don't exercise, and pour yourself a glass of wine. Perfect storm. I mean, how many people do you know that do that? I know a whole lot. I could count, thousands of them. That was what I was doing. So there were a lot of, like, when you look at what's wrong with this picture, there were a lot of things. And living in Europe, I love coffee. I'm addicted to coffee. That smell, it's for me even more of the process of drinking coffee than what it would do to me. But I didn't realize how much coffee I was putting in my body and how much caffeine I was just going. And now I realize why, is because my body was craving, it was depleted. And so when I cut that out and I cut wine out, I started drinking water, I started doing my exercises again. I was borderline high blood pressure, and I still watch that today, because I said, I don't want to take another pill, right? I want to get there healthy-wise. So I noticed that switching to chicken and fish primarily and red meat now and then was good for me. Things like that, but everybody's body is different. More vegetables is good for me. Organic is good for me. Every morning I would be like, what am I going to eat? And sometimes I wouldn't even eat, and I'd run out the door. Worst thing you can do, right? Mom was right when she said your most important breakfast or meal of the day is breakfast. So what do I do every morning now? Power smoothie, right? You got your Vega proteins, you throw in some spinach and some frozen organic blueberries, scoop of almond butter to fill you up a little more. Game changer, right? You're out the door and you already are like giving your body the nutrients it needs to. When you give energy all day to people, you have to make sure you're giving it back to yourself. So again, I come back to, if you don't, take care of your body, where are you going to live? And that's what I would always hear at these, when Gary Keller would speak, and I never understood it until I crashed. And now I get it. I get it big time. Because without this energy inside in this body, like, it changes everything. Life isn't the beautiful life that it should be, right? So I think what I want to say to you guys is, don't wait until you have a crash or that you completely collapse or can't get out of bed like I did to start taking care of yourself, because you can be really proactive and preventative. And we live in Austin, Texas, which is probably one of the healthiest cities in the country, and I still took my health for granted, and I didn't exercise, and I wasn't taking care of myself, and I'm still paying for it, and I have a long way to go to get out of that, to get ahead of it, and this will be years to come that I'll be working on that. So I would highly, highly recommend to you to be proactive on your health. What are you putting in your body? There are so many things out there that we don't even know that we're putting in our body, that we just need to start paying attention, because nobody's going to watch for us. And the other thing I would say is, don't take a first diagnosis from a doctor as the gospel. If somebody says to you, oh, I think you should take an antidepressant, or I think you should whatever, and it's something that doesn't feel right to you, get a second opinion. Go find a functional doctor. You're seeing, somebody that's more into the whole picture, because it's really about, you don't want to put a Band-Aid on something that's a much bigger problem underneath. And so when you work with a doctor that's really tracking, we do a lot of blood work and a lot of different tests to see, what's really going on underneath that Band-Aid and how can we address it. So I really, really would so I wish that I had started a long time ago with a functional doctor, or a doctor that was more into, proactive, preventative measures on the whole picture of being healthy and lifestyle changes and things like that. Because if you wait until you crash, your crash might be a lot bigger than my crash was. And I hope that it's not. I feel like that was a wake-up call for me, and I'm very lucky that I found the doctor that I found. Whether you come to Austin and you see Dr. Ube, or you find somebody near you, it matters who is coaching you, it matters what you're putting in your body, and literally where you're going to live if you don't take care of this body. And I know I have a lot to give in this life still, and I'm looking forward to many years of health. And it's a journey, and I'm willing to do what it takes, and it's not fun sometimes, because you got to give up things you love, and it's so worth it, because there's nothing better than having a quality of life and sticking around for the people that love you the most.